Hello and welcome on Beautiful People today. My guest is an actor who has slowly but steadily in the past decade or so, less than a decade actually, gone on to become one of Hindi cinema's most bankable stars. To introduce him, I'm going to quote something he said in an interview perhaps last year. And he said, "After 25 years, the business of my films is half or one-third of the Khan's. Considering I've been around for only 7 years, give me 5 more and I'll be at par with them. These are straight statistics." To do some straight talking, my guest, Emraan Hashmi. Emraan, you want to amplify what you meant?
A journalist had asked me about the Khans touching the magical 3-digit number, the 100 crore mark that everyone is gunning for right now.
Yeah.
So I said that, it's just fair, be fair to me. I've been around for 7 years. They started off in the 80s. It's been almost 20 plus years for them. And obviously with every, with more time on their hands, they've had a certain amount of experience, they've had a more bankable audience base that's been around for 20 years. And I've got my audience base over the past 7 years. So give me around 3-4 years more.
And you'll be in the same league.
Yes.
So Emraan, in this industry, when you make a statement like that, it seems quite emphatic and bold and confident. Is that something the industry is used to?
I don't know, that's what you aspire for. You have to see yourself as a brand. You have to project yourself that way. If you don't have the confidence in yourself, then I don't think you'll be here for very long. And yes, there is competition. At the end of the day, it is the number game. People do judge you more in respect to your box office numbers than actually your acting credentials. You might be the best actor around, but if you're not going to garner
those numbers
that Friday,
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, when I started off for the first 3 years, my films chose me. I didn't choose my films. There is a trade which I took some time to understand. I reached a saturation point in my career where I was only doing stuff that was given to me, and I don't think I was really could be blamed for that, because my films were working, and the trade doesn't want you to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
They want to kind of box you up in that.
Why fix something that ain't broke?
Yes. And then suddenly a filmmaker comes along and makes something drastically different, which is perceivably a risk for you, but then it does well, and then that's when things change.
So when you started out, the films were choosing you. Today, fair to say that you're choosing the films?
I am. At the same time, people have seen potential. People have realized that, okay, this can also work within Emraan. So let's make this with him. Earlier, it was just erotica, thrills, and those were the key components. No one really stepped out of the crease and said that, okay, let's try this with him.
So was Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, which released in 2010, that was the turning point for you?
It was. I actually had, through my career, I've had a lot of landmark films that have kind of changed things around for me.
Clearly.
There was a film that was actually supposed to be a turning point in my career, but didn't do very well. It was Avarapan. Now, I can't really gauge or sit down and think why, what were the reasons. I let that go. That was supposed to be a film that would say, okay, notice this guy. I mean, he's just not about kisses and about sexuality on screen. But unfortunately, that film didn't work. And then the trade and the industry always looks for those numbers.
So,
and then
go
they say
stick to what you can do.
Yeah, go stick to what you do best. And then Once Upon a Time came along.
And I believe that Mahesh Bhatt, who is related to you as your uncle, is part of your family, and who's also your mentor in terms of the fact that you've done so many movies with him, actually said don't do it, and then later on said, I'm glad you did it. So A, why did you choose that film, and how did that end up being the turning point for you? A guy who was already successful, but now successful in a different way.
I like challenging people's perception towards things. For that matter, even my image that was created earlier was breaking some perception that this is not our culture. I was seen as a guy who was contaminating our culture. I don't know, I have this particular trait in my personality. When someone tells me not to do something, I want to do it. It's in my very, I don't know, a temperament to kind of go ahead and do that. I hope your 2-year-old
son is not listening to this. that'll be like a good lesson. That's what Dad said.
It's actually good to be a bit of a rebel. I think that's when you can bring about change. I'd like to tell you why Mr. Mahesh Bhatt told me not to do it. Because people in the industry, yes, at the end of the day, we think in a certain formulaic way, and it was a film that was about gangsters, and my character was someone who had been demonized.
Yeah.
And the PR around the film and all the talk that it's about someone, it's about real life gangsters, and Bhatt Sahab just felt that there won't be any redemption, because he is at the end of the day a really bad guy.
Yeah.
What I felt was different about this film is that it took the film back in a and had a very colorful palette to it. It was a gangster flick, but you never had a gangster flick with a love story. They're real people.
Yeah, yeah.
But you've always had gangster films that have been dark. They lack great music. I remember saying yes to the film on 3 lines that Milan had come to my place with Rajat and narrated it to me. He said that these are the 2 characters, and it's about these 2 characters. It's placed in the 60s and the 70s. It's those cars at that time, you know, the Impalas, and there's that whole the Bachchan era, the dialogue bazi that was there, that has been missing.
Yeah.
There's been a sudden
that was one of the
subtlety.
strengths of the film.
Yeah, there's a certain subtlety that's come in our cinema after the late 90s. It took that away. It took it a notch up. It raised. It kind of is. You know, everything is on a high in that film.
So that was a great choice to make. It was a gamble, because everything in this industry is a bit of a gamble, isn't it? And it paid off for you.
Yes.
So now you've got 2 kinds of films that you do and you're good at. One is where you're the lead star and the only star with a co-star who's female, and you deliver big successes. And then on the other hand, there are these films which are almost ensembles, isn't it? So you're part, a very pivotal part, but a part nevertheless of a whole cast of characters. What makes you happier?
I think both have a role in my life. You need both kinds of all kinds of cinema to survive. Because if you only do one kind of cinema, then it kind of reaches a saturation point for your career. But for an actor, at least for me, I'm extremely selfish. I'd like to see myself for the entire 2 hours on screen. So I'd like to do a solo film. I do those. They're successful. But then you can't say no to a dirty picture. You do think that, yes, you're probably not the protagonist in the film, but you're like, another thought crosses your mind and says that, you know, if I leave this, I'll just be letting go of a great film.
And you're a pivotal character.
Yes.
So it's not as if you're not playing important characters.
You see, but some actors only look at playing protagonists in films. According to me, that's extremely myopic and self-indulgent to a certain point. I am self-indulgent.
Yeah, but you can't be an actor if you're not.
Exactly.
There has to be a certain element of narcissism, isn't it, if you're an actor?
But I think that also plays out in a film like Dirty Picture, because it's a new kind of relationship on screen. That's what drew me to the film. So out of self-indulgence, I still wanted to do that, because I wanted to be the first person to play that kind of hate relationship on screen, which was so new.
So Jannat 2 releases next week, and I've seen Jannat 1, and the character you play in that movie dies. So this is not a sequel of any kind. So you're a totally new character.
Yes.
So why Jannat 2? Thematically, it's the same, is it?
It's a franchise. It's a series of films. Like even in Murder, my character died in the first part.
Yeah, exactly.
So we keep key elements in the narrative. Like Murder is a brand that has erotica, thrills. It has good versus evil, and of course you have different characters in every part that's made. Jannat is at its core a really touching love story of this man who loves this woman so much that he would do anything for her, and unfortunately he gets down this dark path in life. So in the first part, he goes down the immoral, unethical way
you're
of
the bookie and the cricket match fixing.
In this, we stumble upon the world of illegal gun trade.
So the Jannat, Murder, Raz, these kind of films, and it's not. I'm not making a judgment here, but these are formulas. These have worked. They click. There is an audience for them, and you're the guy who can deliver it to them. Is it a fair assessment?
There is a formula.
Is that boring for an actor?
It guarantees a certain safety, yes, but in the confines of that, you know, you have these ingredients. I mean, every film down the line, in a certain way, apart from a few films that are made that really, you know, are path breaking, are formulaic to a certain point of view. Music is formulaic. It's something that needs to be put in. You have to have a romantic song in a film because people know, music directors and directors
The other
know.
thing, Emraan, is that I think, you know, while you have not had a lot to do with the choice of the music, I'm guessing because you're the actor, you've been phenomenally blessed with the kind of music your films have brought you, isn't it? They're all hits.
Yes.
They're all hits.
I've just been, that's the only thing. I mean, the only way I can look at it is that I've been blessed with great music for my first film. And people ask me, do I have a hand in, because every time that my film releases, the music before the film releases becomes a sensation. It's just great people I've worked with. I've been fortunate and they have been delivering time and again.
Do you have an ear for music? No, I don't.
Not for popular Hindi music. I listen to alternative music. I don't listen to Hindi music. I'm also self-indulgent. I listen to my own songs only.
So if we pull out your iPod, you won't have songs from Gangster and Jannat and all? Not at all?
No. I am a compulsive listener. When I'm doing a film, I listen to the songs over and over again. Because right now Jannat is happening, but I will it'll be on repeat on my iPod, and then it won't be there once the film releases. My next film's music I put on my iPod. But generally, I listen to a lot of progressive trance, a lot of alternative rock, a lot of, you know, that kind of music.
From what you're saying and the way you're articulating what you've done and what you do, it's very clear that you assess what you do quite rationally. What is it that you think works for you where the audience is concerned? Why is it that you seem to be headed towards that 3-figure box office mark? People like you. What is it that they like? What is it that you think you're bringing to the table?
I think there is a certain individuality in the characters that I play. No one plays characters like that. No one would touch the characters that I play with a barge pole, because everyone has this certain kind of cinema, and fair enough. There are comedies, there are action films, everyone is known for their strengths. I've been associated with the naughty guy, the bad boy on screen, who is endearing in a certain way. And that's my victory, to make the guy who is morally incorrect into someone endearing, because somewhere we all connect with these guys. So we are all flawed.
So do you think you're plugging a need gap in the audience?
Yes,
that
I feel.
That there are people who are like that, and there are parts of me who are like the guys you play.
There is a certain dark side in all of us that we all connect to.
And now the dark side has a face.
Yes, and everyone would connect to a Sonu Dili KKC also, because we all know that we have to be slightly morally incorrect sometimes. We have moral choices. We have some time in our lives done stuff that's been morally incorrect because of for our survival.
So, you know, when you got into the movies and you started with these kind of films, what gave you the confidence to do it? Because you were going against the tide. That's not what a regular Hindi film hero is expected to be or play. So what gave you the confidence?
But I was never the regular Hindi the hero. The Hindi film hero has always danced. He always at that time did family films or comedies, or there was an action. There was never an erotic thriller. I was never looked upon as the traditional guy who conformed, because I never looked a certain way. I made my weakness a strength. I was a write-off for the first 5 years. I didn't know how to dance. I didn't match up in the looks department to any of the other my other actors. The competition.
But you could have sex.
But of course, there is sexuality in the films that was kind of unheld back.
I find that interesting, Emraan, because, you know, as a country, as a nation of people, it's a big generalization, but I think it's fair. We are pretty squeamish about talking about sex and about depicting sex. Okay, we may have a lot of sex, but we don't talk about it and we don't show it or see it. How did you come along and feel confident about, you know, making erotic films or seeing yourself or portraying yourself as a sexual being in your roles? What gave you the confidence? Because as a people, we are squeamish.
I never saw Hindi films, so I did not know what was actually happening out there. So I didn't know actually I was doing something that was bold. How
can you not have seen Hindi films? You've lived in Mumbai all your life. You belong to a family that's deeply connected to movies.
I've been watching more westernized stuff.
Okay.
And our society is conservative. There's certain hypocrisy. There are people who took up to a film like Murder and looked at it as a good film. Some people shunned it out and said that, oh, this is crass. And then the conservatives never really came and saw the film. But there's my generation, the films that the people I pitch my films to, 18 and 35. They have grown up at the same time I've grown up. There was a TV boom in the 90s.
Yeah.
There was a lot of westernization. There were a lot of channels that had come out. The internet. They are exposed to all of this.
And you're saying that that audience is not squeamish.
They slowly trickled into the halls. They had trouble actually accepting it because it was not the prescribed thing for our culture.
Yeah.
But now they're stepping out and seeing these films. They've become okay with it. They're saying it's okay to watch and everyone is doing it now.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a done deal now. Everyone is like fine with it. Actors do it, and the audience is okay. This is now has become part of our culture. It's evolving.
So you've stopped doing it, right?
I have not actually. I'm still doing it. I'm less in my constituency.
What drives actors at the end of the day when all is said and done? Is it the money? Is it the fame? Is it the chance to be someone new every year or every 8 months or so? What is it that drives you to do what you do? Is it the money? We're sitting in Bandra in this beautiful apartment.
It is money. It is money. It is doing something interesting.
It's not the fame. So the money is.
It is fame also. It is a bit of everything.
So if you were to rank it,
it definitely isn't awards. For me, it is the audience loving me. I find great joy in seeing my film complete, knowing that the team effort and everyone, all the work that everyone put in, has paid off. This film is great as a product. Then on Friday you have the jitters, it releases, you know, you almost, it's like death in the morning on a Friday. I like that feeling. It's a rush.
Yeah.
It's an emotion evoking business. So you like that. You like to be part of that.
And then the money and the fame.
And of course, the money and the fame.
So if you
I would never do a film for free. So it's obviously the money.
You talked about the fact that Mahesh Bhatt had reservations about you playing the character in Once Upon a Time in Mumbai because it's loosely based on Dawood Ibrahim, and so he's a demonized character, he's a criminal, one of India's favorite villains, isn't it? I was reading that you had problems with buying a flat in Bandra because in Mumbai because you're Muslim.
Yeah.
Is being Muslim an issue with you? How integral is it to your identity?
Muslim stars are the biggest stars
Yeah.
in Indian cinema. Yeah. So I don't in any way feel singularly, you know, demonized if there is a certain housing society problem. I wouldn't generalize.
But that
society.
was a genuine problem that happened.
Yes,
it happened
that
a few years ago.
That was a problem that happened. But I wouldn't want to generalize our society. There are regressive
Pockets.
people. Yeah, there are pockets in an affluent place like Bandra, and it was me, an educated person, could never comprehend that because in my family there are Hindus. My mom's a Christian. My dad's a Muslim. It was just.
It was a shocking experience.
It was shocking for me. And then obviously there was an opposing force because a lot of political parties have their agenda, and when I raised my voice about this issue, there were people who supported me. At the same time, there were people who said that, you know, for their own sake, for their own benefit.
But is being Muslim a part of your identity? Is it something that's a conscious part of your identity? I'm guessing not before this sort of obstacle, the housing society incident. You still hear about Shah Rukh Khan getting detained at airports, isn't it, in the US? So I'm saying, is it an issue or is it?
It is my identity. It is part of my identity. But I'll never use it as a currency to get things done or to create controversy. I never use it as a card to get, you know, make that an issue. That was an issue because I had to deal with it, and I felt that a lot of people that I spoke to are dealing with this. I would raise a voice for a Hindu if there was a Muslim society.
Yeah,
and
you should do it
for
you should do it for single women because they find it very hard to get houses in this city. You know.
Yeah, there's a regressive mindset that I think needs to change. I mean, we should get over that entire thing. And I never use it as a card. Never.
You know, Emraan, we've spent about half an hour talking. My question to you as we close this conversation is, how come you're so normal? You're a film star.
Yeah.
Why do you come across as a normal guy? What's the... How do you explain it?
I don't take myself or my films too seriously. It's part of what I do.
But is it possible not to take it seriously, not to be carried away?
Some people act even when the camera is off. I choose to disconnect. I don't discuss films when I'm not on set. I don't go to film parties. I treat it as a profession, like a 9 to 5 job. I go there, put on my makeup, and I'm given lines, and I do it with a certain earnestness and an honesty, but that's part of who I am. It's not everything. When I'm off a film, when the film is completed, I'm not shouting from the rooftops constantly and saying, oh, see how successful my film is. The film is successful, the audience has loved it, see you guys later, see you in the next film. And I'll promote it for 15 days and my next film is out. I don't choose to go out there and pitch everything about my personal life and about everything that I do. Other actors do. Everything on their Twitter account has to do with some shoot event that's happening. I don't. I am not on social networking sites. But I will keep you updated about my films. I will let you into certain personal details, but not all the time, not every time.
Emraan Hashmi, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to the next film. I'm looking forward to Shanghai. I'm looking forward to Jannat, though I must admit, not my kind of film, but looking forward to everything you do. Wish you a lot of success. It's nice to meet a normal guy who's a film star. So all the best.
Thank you.